Welcome back to our series on Introductory Statistics. I'm Mark Ledbetter. This is lecture video 27, part A. We are moving into chapter 8, section 8.1, and this is part 1. And last time we reviewed we completed the central limit theorem. And what we found out is when we have a sample that is more than one individual, so we have a sample of some size n, then we no longer use the old z formula and x formula that doesn't have n in it. So we need to do that. We need to use this formula or this formula depending on what we're looking for. But we also need to meet some requirements in order to do that. One is either we can have more than 30 samples and then we can use the central limit theorem and these formulas are valid, or if we know that the underlying distribution is normal, then we don't have to have 30 samples. We can have less, and still use those formulas. Okay, so in this chapter we're going to deal with two situations, estimating mu when we know sigma and when we don't know sigma. Now I'm using a video that was previously recorded. It was recorded at a very slow pace, and I think that's necessary for us to be able to absorb this more complex topic. So I hope you enjoy those videos. So let's get started. Hello. In this video, we are going to start chapter 8 in the book, Understanding Basic Statistics. And this chapter is dealing with estimation. So estimation is the first of the inferences, statistical inference, that we're going to learn. So it's a statistical inference that we're going to process or procedure we're going to talk about today. So if you remember at the very first of the class, the very first day, I told you that one of the main purposes of statistics was we want to find out something about a population, and to do that we take a sample and we calculate, we want to know what mu is for the population. And so we take a sample, a random sample that is representative of the whole population, and then we calculate the parameter estimate for the sample, which in this case is going to be x bar if we're looking for mu. And based on x bar, we're going to infer something about mu. All right? So our goal in this chapter, this section, today's video, is we want to learn how to estimate a population parameter using a statistic from a sample. Okay? For this chapter specifically, we're going to look at the method to estimate the population mean, mu. Okay? So that's all we're going to look at in this chapter, is how do we estimate mu. So previously, we used these statistics called point estimates to estimate the parameters. So we're calling this a point estimate. If you look in my little table down here, I have the point estimate, and then I have the population parameter we're trying to estimate. So x bar, the sample mean, estimates mu, the population parameter. And s squared estimates or approximates sigma squared. And S approximates or estimates sigma. Now, I've also added something called unbiased. Is this point estimate
unbiased. Okay? And so yes or no. So for X bar, yes, it's unbiased, which is good. We prefer to have our estimates be unbiased. And I'll talk about what that means in a minute. Now, S squared is also an unbiased estimate of sigma squared. But S is not an unbiased estimate. And again, it's just slightly biased, okay? It's not too much, but it's slightly biased. And these three point estimates are the best point estimates that we can use to estimate the population parameter. So let's look over here and see what I've written about unbiased. Now, we haven't talked about the expected value in this class. So this is a numeric formula process that we use. And what it does is it takes the mean of the population. In this case, we're going to take the mean of the population of X bar. Remember that we've just learned that X bar has its own distribution. In section 7.4, we talked about the sampling distribution of X bar, and in 7.5 we talked about the central limit theorem. So X bar has its own distribution, and if the and depending on what our sample size is, that determines the distribution of X bar. If n is greater than 30, X bar is going to have a normal distribution. Well, it turns out that if we take the expected value or the mean of the population of X bar, that is equal to mu, the population of the data that we started with. Okay, so we start with this population, this data, and we take a sample and we calculate X bar. And then we take a bunch of samples and we keep calculating X bar, and eventually we'll find out the distribution of X bar. And we're saying that the central limit theorem says that if X bar is taken from a sample of at least 30, it doesn't matter what the mean or variance of the original data was, or the distribution of the original data, X bar will have a normal distribution. Okay? We also talked about the fact that if the original data has a normal distribution, regardless of the sample size, the mean X bar will have a normal distribution. Okay, so we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. So the expected value of X bar is equal to mu. They're the same. The expected value of S squared is equal to sigma squared. So they're the same. So if I take, let me erase a little blue. Oh, I erased too much. I forgot that I have this. There we go. All right. Now, if I take and rewrite this as E of X bar minus mu, in this case, this is going to be equal to 0. This quantity, the expected value of the statistic minus the population parameter it's estimating, is equal to a number. If it's equal to 0, then X bar in this case is unbiased. The same thing will happen down here for S squared. E of S squared minus sigma squared is equal to 0. But in this case, for S, E of S minus sigma is actually greater than 0. It's not equal to 0. It's close to 0, but it's not quite. So it is biased, but it's a small bias. And it turns out that we use S because, one, believe it or not, it's easy to calculate compared to the unbiased estimates that we can come up with for S. So it's interesting to me that S squared is unbiased, but you take the square root of it, and it's no longer unbiased. And remember that S cannot be negative. So it's not like we're dealing with the negative positive issue here. S is positive, S squared is positive. Um, so, but still, S squared is unbiased, S is a little biased. All right. So the point here is that these are the best point estimate that we can get. All right, so we're going to use them. But you say, well, are we done? Because we're trying to estimate these population parameters. Well, no, we're not. We're not done. And before we talk about that, let's first ask ourselves why this is called a point estimate. Why is it called a point estimate? It's a point estimate because it's one value. X bar is a number, a single number. So if I plot it on the number line, then there's just going to be one point. So it's a point estimate. Same thing with S squared. It's just one number. And so if you plot it, it's just one point. So that's why they're called point estimates. Okay, so isn't everything a point estimate? Well, basically everything we've talked about so far is a point estimate. And these point estimates are good. We need them, but they're not good enough. So what's wrong with a point estimate for mu? Well, remember that X bar is coming from the data, a distribution, and that distribution usually is continuous. Okay? So answer this question from the last test. If X bar has a distribution itself and the X, that it's the data, the original data, is continuous, then X bar is going to be continuous. And if I have a continuous distribution and this is my random variable here, if this is continuous, okay, so if that's continuous, and I have an equal sign here to some value, this is a constant, so some value mu, what's the probability that X bar is exactly equal to mu? Another way of asking this is, on the test I said, what's the probability that Z is equal to some value A? And most of you answered correctly and said this is equal to 0 because there is no area. It's just a line. This is the same answer. The probability that X bar is actually equal to mu is 0. Okay?
Well, that's the end of this video. So please remember to scan your lecture notes before midnight of the day on the course calendar. Uh, if you have questions, by all means, please come to virtual office hours. I am happy to help you. And if you can't do that, then by all means email me. But when you email me, please email me a picture of both the problem, because I may not have access to that problem wherever I am, and a picture of your work, which allows me to know how you're approaching the problem and help you best and the quickest. So I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Until then, stay safe and take care.